Cybersecurity compliance has become unnecessarily complex, not because regulatory intent is unclear, but because most security architectures were never designed to enforce compliance by default. The Cybersecurity Constitution resolves this by placing governance above controls, and architecture above policy. Rather than treating compliance as a reporting exercise, the Constitution embeds compliance directly into sovereign operational design, making alignment with US and NATO mandates a structural outcome, not an administrative burden. What the Cybersecurity Constitution is. The Cybersecurity Constitution is not a framework and not a checklist. It is a constitutional doctrine for cyberspace, a governing instrument that defines digital jurisdiction, sovereign control, prohibited conditions, such as exposure, and enforceable operational boundaries. Security requirements are not interpreted locally or waived under pressure. They are constitutionally binding by design. Alignment with U.S. mandates. U.S. cybersecurity mandates, including NIST-derived controls and FISMA-aligned requirements, are principally concerned with protecting national security information, ensuring system integrity and availability, managing risk through enforceable controls. The Cybersecurity Constitution satisfies these requirements architecturally, not procedurally. By enforcing zero Internet and zero exposure for sovereign assets, and by embedding identity, authority, and auditability directly into enclave design, the Constitution addresses the underlying conditions regulators are attempting to control, rather than layering documentation over exposed systems. Compliance is achieved because non-compliant states cannot exist within the architecture. Alignment with NATO mandates. NATO cybersecurity mandates emphasize collective defense, readiness in contested environments, interoperability without cross-contamination, and assurance under degraded or adversarial conditions. The Cybersecurity Constitution aligns naturally with these requirements by enforcing sovereign enclaves, preserving jurisdictional separation across domains, and enabling assured operation even when connectivity is degraded or denied. Partnership does not require shared exposure. Interoperability occurs through controlled, doctrinally governed interfaces, not implicit trust. Why sovereignty clarifies compliance. Regulatory confusion often stems from ambiguous authority. Who owns the risk? Who enforces the boundary? Who decides what is acceptable? Sovereignty resolves this. Under the Cybersecurity Constitution, risk categories are not abstract, they are jurisdictional. Each sovereign entity defines its operational boundaries and enforces them constitutionally, eliminating interpretive ambiguity for regulators and operators alike. Compliance becomes intelligible because authority is unambiguous. Compliance is a byproduct of architecture. Under framework-driven security models, compliance is something organizations try to maintain. Under the Cybersecurity Constitution, compliance is a byproduct of architecture. When systems are designed to eliminate exposure, prohibit unauthorized connectivity, enforce identity and authority at every boundary, and preserve evidence by default, they inherently satisfy the intent of US and NATO cybersecurity mandates without continuous reinterpretation or exception handling. This is not paperwork compliance. It is structural compliance. Conclusion. The Cybersecurity Constitution does not compete with US or NATO mandates. It fulfills them at a higher level of abstraction, by removing discretionary exposure and enforcing sovereign control as a matter of digital law. When governance is constitutional and architecture is sovereign, compliance is no longer something to chase, it is something the system cannot violate. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by cybersecurity compliance? You're not alone. In today's world, navigating regulations is vital. But what if we told you there's a straightforward way to simplify it? The Cybersecurity Constitution is here to make your life easier. It aligns with both US and NATO mandates. Let's break down this complex topic step by step. First, what is the Cybersecurity Constitution? It's a constitutional doctrine that makes compliance a structural outcome of sovereign architecture. It helps organizations understand what they need to do to stay secure. Next, we look at US mandates. These include frameworks like NIST and FISMA. They focus on protecting national security. Now, let's consider NATO mandates. These emphasize collective defense and cybersecurity readiness. They ensure member nations collaborate to strengthen security. By aligning the Cybersecurity Constitution to these mandates, compliance becomes clearer. It shows how doctrine can simplify complex regulations. You'll see that having a strong constitutional authority adds to better security outcomes. So, why does sovereignty matter? It allows nations to define risk categories. This eliminates confusion regulators have about compliance. Each country can tailor responses based on its circumstances. Think of it like this: a sports team with a clear playbook. Each player knows their role. They work together effectively, minimizing risks of failure. Now, here's the game changer. Compliance is a byproduct of strong architecture. It's not just paperwork, it's an integral part of your organization's structure. When you build around the Constitution, you inherently meet compliance standards. In summary, the Cybersecurity Constitution streamlines compliance with US and NATO mandates. It emphasizes the importance of sovereignty and architecture. By understanding these concepts, you can navigate regulations confidently. Want to learn more? Dive into the Cybersecurity Constitution today and empower your organization. Visit manuelwlloyd.com.